Yeah, he's been holding out on that green screen. Yeah, holding out on that green screen, G. Okay.
Green screen. This is
Holding
all
out.
just
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that good background you got.
I have no guys back here. This
I
is
see the
something
green screen. He got the green screen. That's what it is.
ain't no green
Yeah,
screen back here.
yeah, that's what it is.
No, man.
He
But
didn't want to tell
anyway,
anybody either. Look, he's a shiner. He's a shiner.
man, we're not live. Oh, we are live.
We're live.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
All
live.
right.
We're
All right.
live. We are
Hey,
live.
we're having some fun this evening, y'all. You know, we love to come on every week with you all, and we just enjoy this show. So we're here again. I got everybody here in the house tonight. Of course, you used to seeing us three. Got my brother Tim down here, in case y'all not aware. You know, he's with us right now. So got some good input tonight from all four of us. Got some hot topics tonight, as always, and we want to break these down individually, but we want to hear from you. So, of course, there are you're able to leave comments, and we will read them. We will respond to these comments, react to them, and give our opinion on what is your thinking. And we also want to, of course, start off by giving our thoughts on each of these individually. So, you know how it goes every single week. We start off with just kind of talking about the housekeeping and what we stand for. So I take it away.
All right. It's a blessing to be with you, good brothers, this evening. For those that are just tuning in, 360 Collective is a social commentary group who confronts issues of race, racial injustice, and other topics of social justice. We have a platform which you can check out on our website, 360collective.online. So definitely check us out there for more conscious content. We've been doing this for a couple years, but our history as a group goes back more than 20 years. And so what we are doing is maintaining the vigil that we established many years ago, as our good brother Tim says so often. And so tonight we have a series of topics that we will be talking about, all current events, and we will approach them from a conscious perspective, specifically a racially conscious perspective. Along the way, as you can see along the margin there of your screen, we hope to get your comments. We hope that you react to what it is we're saying, because while we have insights that we hope you find helpful, we look forward to hearing your insights and all of the knowledge that you can bring to the topic as well. We believe in doing knowledge, constructing knowledge, and building knowledge together. So we hope that you who are listening decide to react and comment as we go along, because we definitely want to hear from you as we approach each topic. So I think that's just about it, good brother. I think we're ready to go.
All right, let's get into the first topic.
All right.
Patrick Lyoya, a black man living in Grand Rapids, Michigan, was shot fatally in the head during a traffic stop on April 4th, and body cam footage was released on April 13th. The officer is on paid leave as the Michigan State Police investigate the shooting. What should happen next?
We actually have a couple brothers on here from Grand Rapids. So I would love to hear their perspectives on just what it's like to have lived in Grand Rapids, to kind of give the people an idea, sort of a background of these things possibly could have been happening for a very long time. What's the relationship between the people and the police? Has there been any other shootings of an unarmed black man before in the past? So we have this is sort of personal for us, because we have like I said, brothers here who have actually lived in that city.
Yeah, I lived in the Grand Rapids, the greater Grand Rapids area for the greater part of my young life, and as a young adult right up until I joined the military eons and eons ago. But my family integrated a neighborhood in one of the suburbs of Grand Rapids in the mid-'70s, and it was no picnic. And from that day until the day that I left in my early 20s for the last time, it was still no picnic out there. This is the type of place where if you are aware of your blackness, you feel every inch of it in certain environments out there. And I don't know if y'all know what I mean by that. They make you feel every inch of it. But yeah, it hits very close to home, very close to home, almost like a cosmic message, almost like the universe speaking. For me personally to get hot on this subject once again, because I can't understand why this is still okay. And with that, I'm going to yield the floor and I will come back. But I want another brother from Grand Rapids to speak for a second.
No doubt. GR all day long. All right. South side till I die. Right. Yeah. So I think Grand Rapids in our relationship with the police is similar to any other urban area with black people and police. We're patrolled and treated the same way in any city. So as I stated before, it's different because we know the street, we know the area, we know the people. So then we relate just to that. So we know more or less what that feels like. So we know that. So that's the relationship we have with that. Once we leave past that, then we're like, yeah, So then you go like Brother Tim was saying, from a younger perspective, it just takes you back to I remember when. You know what I'm saying? You remember when we were younger and being harassed or being treated. You knew how you were treated differently.
Literally being followed around.
You're right. So then like I said, you just knew. You just knew
Yeah.
when, because what happened was, based on our age, we grew up right at that point of the crack era, right? So we grew up as crack was growing up. So then that's when they had the freedom to do whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's when it was like, okay, we could do whatever we want to young black boys, because it was legal for them to do it, as in they could do it out in the open. So those things that when you hear things of, just remember we're just walking down the street not doing anything, and just a suspicion of, I think he could be, and just being pulled over for that, at that, just walking, being 13, 14, and just being pulled over. And so, or just being driving and just knowing at that point, I remember being driving and gosh, man, I remember back at, God, I had to be in 11th grade. I had the 84 Monte Carlo, right? I didn't know how great the car was back then, but 84 Monte Carlo, and this was 90 something. But just late at night going to the movies, and me and my friend was just got pulled over, and so we didn't do anything. But what happened was they pulled us over and they fingerprinted us. And some point was, it didn't matter. We didn't do anything, but we just wanted to leave to go on to the next, what we wanted to do next. But at that point, we didn't realize they got us, right? They got you. We didn't commit any crimes, but at any point at that moment, if we ever did, we were in a database, right? It was at that moment, though. From here on out, my fingerprints are there. Not so. It was those small little things of taking our liberties without us doing anything. Those small little things, pulling us over for no reason, and is just constantly doing small little things. So pulling you over because of having air fresheners. So yes, it's illegal. So they having the right to do it, but that's why they're pulling you over, because it is illegal. But then the bigger thing is, let me pull you over to see if you have. Because now I have the right to pull you over because you have the air freshener. But what I'm really doing is see if you have something else on you, right? So it's those small little things, those small infractions to see for the big infraction. You get tired of that. You get tired of having to keep doing those type of things. But I remember the first time I'm sitting here, why am I being pulled over at 10:30 at night? And then we're being fingerprinted and taking pictures. I remember being the Polaroids and my fingerprints on the Polaroid when I was 17. And at that time it didn't matter because I'm trying to go, we were trying to hang out. But when I was 17, they had me. I didn't realize until years later that they had me. I wouldn't commit no crimes, but I gave that up freely. I gave it up freely with
It
no
makes you
fight.
wonder. It makes you
Yeah,
wonder. It makes you wonder. Number one, if they had the legal right to really do that. You gave them
right.
that.
Listen, I just turned from Hall onto Division.
Yeah,
That's all I
yeah.
did.
That's one of them neighborhoods.
Mm.
But they take liberties. They take liberties with our rights every day. Just being defiant in the hands of law enforcement, just being defiant for a brother is a capital offense.
Mm-hmm.
It's capital. You have dude or female, whatever the case may be, in a uniform with a badge on that's got maybe an associate's degree. The saying goes, it takes longer to become a cosmetologist than it does to become a police officer in a lot of states. And that's judge, jury, and executioner right there in the street. If you snatch your hand away from them or tell them no or turn around and try to run away or just be defiant in any way, that is a capital offense. And that's what I think people don't understand. Not only is it a capital offense to be defiant, it's a summary execution right there in the street. No trial, no judge, no jury, just executed right in the street just for being defiant. And then the line in conservative media and is, why didn't they just comply? All he did was be defiant. All he did was maybe argue a little bit, maybe tussle with the cop, and he got a bullet in the back of his head. So what should happen next? That's what I would like to know. I mean, you have, and I'm going to say this loosely and lightly, but you have meteorologists who forecast the weather. They might forecast a hurricane and 100 people die. Well, I'm going to forecast this. One of these days, may not be in our lifetime, but one of these days, people are going to start to take steps to put a stop to this that don't have anything to do with stapling paper to a stick. Okay? Don't have nothing to do with singing a gospel hymn and don't have nothing to do with filing a lawsuit. That's a forecast, not even a prediction. That's a forecast. And one of these days, it's going to come down to that. That's what happens next.
Yeah, I think that there definitely needs to have some act. I mean, what you said, yeah, you're spot on. I think that those tactics could definitely work. I really do think at this point in time, we had to take some drastic steps in order to have some kind of a change, because this is going to continue to happen. And frankly, I think what you saw was an officer who couldn't let go, who thought his pride would be damaged, or he would be considered to be a good cop if he let this one black man run away. I mean, if you look at the video, I mean, the guy didn't pose a threat at all. He was barely even running away. If you really want to run away, he would have ran in one direction. They were sort of running in sort of a circle almost. If you saw him trying to grab the taser, it almost seemed like, So I don't know how you view this man as being so dangerous, so that I wasn't. If the cop was thinking I might not go home tonight, I better go ahead and shoot this man. I don't know how you could have gathered that. I think that there could also there's other issues here. The brother was from the Republic of the Congo, so we don't even know if there was a language barrier. Possibly, we don't know if he understood everything. I mean, his parents, from what I can see during the interview, didn't speak English. They had to have an interpreter. The English probably was very limited. These are the things that the cops do not assess when they show up to the scene. Automatically see a black man, two black men in the car, and the defense mechanisms are on 10 immediately, approaching the situation. This is a black man. I better be ready to shoot and kill. This is the type of mentality I believe these officers have going into these situations. So there definitely is a lack of training when it comes to the situation where he felt like that death was the end result of this. So the officer definitely needs to be fired. I think the whole police department needs to be shut down. Honestly, I said this the other night. I know, of course, it's among us, but I believe in these situations, the whole department needs to be shut down for maybe 2 weeks or a month until every officer, because if he thought that was the right thing to do, guess what? His boy, the next squad car over, thinks the same damn thing. So if that is the case, then we have now multiple officers who are ready to shoot and kill at any given time. Then you shoot the man in the back of the head. I mean, that's the most cowardly thing you possibly can do. And shoot anybody in the back. I mean, I don't care what's going on. That's kind of the code of the street. You shoot somebody in the back, you a coward. So
I have a quote from Malcolm X says the Ku Klux Klan is a cowardly outfit. And the reason I mentioned the Ku Klux Klan is because the FBI warned about this 10 years ago that the right-wing extremists were making inroads into police forces throughout the United States, and they were recruiting people into the police force, and they were making sure they had contacts and connections within the police force. So yeah, and you mentioned training. I don't think any amount of training is going to help these people. I read another article about ghost skins. You have these people who assume a regular persona and they don't outwardly espouse any of their right-wing radical beliefs so that they can nestle themselves into these situations like police departments and then let their radical right-wing compatriots know if anything is brewing, This is so pervasive in law enforcement that the FBI has quietly been tracking it, and the articles are out there. I can pull up several for you, but it's a scary, frightening, really crazy thing to know that the FBI has traded in their hoods and sheets for badges. And I think that's happening more and more. And I think it's happening so much that we don't even know about it. And that makes it 10 times more frightening.
We had Dr. Vitale on a few weeks ago who talked about end of policing. And I think he has some very profound views that I think that definitely apply to this situation. Vitale argues that police, even when you talk about I mentioned training, you're right, police reform, but he argues that police reform, as conventionally understood by liberals, is doomed because policing is fundamentally a tool of social control to facilitate our exploitation. And we need to scrap it. So he says that we can get by with fewer police by dropping efforts to criminalize drug use, sex work, and unauthorized border crossings, and use the savings to finance a generous welfare state that would tackle the entrenched, radicalized poverty concentrated in highly segregated neighborhoods, which are the main source of violent crime. So, yeah, you need to redirect these funds. Why are we paying these people to kill someone unwarrantedly?
Why are we giving
a police officer has the right to kill anyone, period?
Armored vehicles, giving them armored vehicles like tanks rolling down the street and ballistic vests and Kevlar helmets and ballistic shields to carry. But we're the violent ones, I got a cell phone, but I'm the violent one. You got a shield, a pistol, a shotgun, handcuffs, a baton, mace, and backup of about 17,000 with the same stuff. But we're the violent ones with cell phones and stuff like that in our hand, maybe a beer bottle, some Skittles. We're the violent ones.
A hairbrush in some cases, in a case. Yeah.
But we're the violent ones. We're the violent ones. So, we're the ones that got to watch out. I think the whole situation is backward and filled with myths and delusions. And, Brother Abel, you were saying that they could do anything they wanted to us back in the 80s because of the crack epidemic. Well, they could do anything. Well, that's a whole nother thing. We got a tribute to Malcolm X coming. I'm going to leave that for the tribute to Malcolm X. But once you criminalize an entire community with statistics and press coverage and jingoistic journalism, then you can do anything you want to that community because it's community. So that's where that stands. I mean, that's the old words of the master.
All right. Well, all right. I think we got some comments. I mean, got any other last words for y'all? If y'all want to, before we move on.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'll just say that as our platform states, law enforcement is not a legitimate authority in this country. We don't recognize it as legitimate, and you should neither. I'm not telling you that you need to disrespect or disobey police when you come into contact with them. Far be it from me as a white male who does not cope with or experience the same level of prejudice and mistreatment from the police. Far be it from me to tell you to do that. But what I'm telling you is that as an organization, we don't recognize the police as a legitimate authority in this country. We don't recognize them as an institution that is here to protect us and to protect Black people, working class people, and the middle class in this country. We recognize the police as an institution of oppression, which is not to say that all cops are bastards. We're not going to go that far. We know that there are many on our side of the political spectrum who uphold that phrase. I'm not going to do that because the truth is that police themselves are exploited, and the people who serve in the institution are being exploited in ways that maybe they don't even understand or want to understand. But it is to say that the institution itself is designed to protect the system that is corroded. And therefore, when we talk about the oppressive effect that it has on Black, brown people, and others in this country, it isn't that the system is broken. It's that it is doing exactly what it is supposed to do. And this is what Ali talks about in his book. And that's why he says, and he even works with police to help them become more humane in their treatment of citizens. But he doesn't mistake that work with his strong convicted belief that the police and the institution of the police must be abolished. So the way that we can do that from one day to the next is to simply try not to call the police, try not to involve them in our affairs. If you see something strange happening in your community, don't call the police to act on that. Figure out within your community how you can protect your community. How you can work with those members of your community who may be counterproductive. For every community, that will look different. We don't have all those answers as an organization, but what we're here to do now is to encourage you to think not only about police reform, but about completely reimagining what law enforcement in this country looks like, and to think seriously about what our world would look like without police, without the law as it currently exists. And so we hope that you entertain these thoughts as you move forward in your conversations and in your own lives. Police reform is fine, defunding the police is fine, but ultimately to live and to function and to achieve a truly just world and a just society, we must abolish the police. And so that's what we want to get at. That's what I hope that I can leave you all with. And I think that's what we've all said in our own way. And so I'm just, I guess, summarizing, not really adding anything new, but wanted to say that very clearly and draw some attention to point 5 of our platform, which y'all see here. We have one more topic, and then we have some comments to get to. So let me play the next question for us, and then we'll go from there.
Mumia Abu-Jamal, a Philadelphia activist, has been wrongly imprisoned since 1981. On Sunday, April 24th, his 67th birthday, supporters are organizing demonstrations across the country. Should Mumia be freed?
The answer is quite simply yes. Mumia should be freed. Mumia Abu-Jamal was convicted in a sham of a trial in Philadelphia in 1981. If you'd like to learn more of the details about that trial, then I urge you to find a film by Steve Vittoria called Manufacturing Guilt. It's about 25 to 35 minutes long, and it breaks down detail by detail, witness by witness, how Mumia Abu-Jamal was railroaded into his current sentence. He's been eligible for parole, and he's been denied parole. He's now very sick, and supporters of his and activists in Philadelphia and around the world are at this point petitioning for a compassionate release. And so, yes, he absolutely deserves to be freed. He is a political prisoner, which means that he is the victim of a war against Black liberation freedom fighters from the 1960s, 70s, and into the 1980s. There's more information on our Facebook page about events that are coming up. Here are some of the events happening in Philadelphia. Well, I hope that you can see this at home. We'll drop this on our page, although there is some information there already. If you are interested in getting involved in the cause to free Mumia, check out the sites that we've listed here on this page. If you're in the Philadelphia area, then there are events happening this week leading up to the 24th for sure. And then I also want to draw attention to the fact that there are other political prisoners, specifically members of the Black Panther Party, who've been imprisoned even longer than Mumia Abu-Jamal. And so I'm going to say their names quickly as we flash some of their information on the screen for you. If you are interested in making contact with any of these freedom fighters, then you can go to the JerichoMovement.com to get this same information that we're posting right now. But you can see each one of these slides has information, an address for you to write to these comrades, to support them. And they each, in many cases, have their own websites where you can donate to their commissary, donate to their legal fund, or to their families. So we urge you definitely to do some more research on these comrades, on these freedom fighters, so that you can support them in any way that you can or feel comfortable. Writing a letter, making a donation, showing up at a rally, any of those things. Writing the governor of the state where these comrades are imprisoned, putting pressure on the parole boards, and making sure that the appointments to the parole boards in your state are people who will be compassionate and empathic to those seeking their freedom. That's not the case in every state where parole boards are compassionate and willing to give parole to political prisoners. Some governors are very careful to put staunch advocates of capital punishment and criminal and harsh punishment on those parole boards. So investigating that further would be another good step. So just wanted to leave this information there for all of our listeners. I know, Amari, I know you had a weigh in on this one too, right?
Yeah, man, let's talk, man, because but he killed a cop. How can we? Are we saying that we want to? Are we saying he needs to be free, Ike?
Absolutely. What I'm telling you is that in this case, the case against Mumia, the trial itself, was a complete sham. The police officer who testified that he saw Mumia pull the trigger wasn't even on the scene at the time that the murder apparently occurred. There were witnesses who saw somebody else on the scene running away. Their testimony was not allowed into the trial. And then years later, another convicted felon admitted to the murder of the police officer, and his testimony was discarded by the judge. Beyond that, he's been eligible for parole and continues to get denied parole. And that is also the case with many of the other comrades whom I just shared a bit of information about. So yes, Mumia deserves to be free, as do the other comrades who are mentioned there. Of all the police who murdered members of the Black Panther Party and Black freedom fighters, not one of them was ever committed to prison, found guilty of murder. But yet and still, in many cases, members of the Black Panther Party, Black Liberation Army, Project Move in Philadelphia were convicted of crimes, many of whom did not, in fact, have anything to do with the murders of which they were charged. So yes, I believe that all of these comrades deserve to go free.
Okay, my thing is that so you're saying though, even though I hear that maybe some evidence could have been thrown out, or maybe could have been collected, or not collected the right way. But in this case, and maybe not in all the cases with the Panthers, are we trying to say they all were innocent and they don't belong in jail, or are we saying that?
No, I'm not saying that. And I mean, we've we've talked about each one of their cases. Well, we've talked about many of their cases on previous programs, so definitely check those out for those that are listening and interested in doing more knowledge on this topic. Check out our program called Free Them All. I mean, you're right, Amari, that in some cases the comrades whom I just mentioned have admitted that they pulled the trigger, that what they did was wrong, that they were guilty, in fact, of taking life. But in those same cases, their sentence has long run its course, such that they are now eligible for parole. And it's not uncommon for those who have been convicted of murder to be given parole. And in many of those cases, the reason that these comrades are not given parole is because police unions advocate strongly for them to remain behind bars, because the lives which were taken were those of police.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. Right.
That's in some cases.
Right.
As I mentioned, each case is different. In Mumia's case, there's a very strong argument. There's more than a shadow of doubt that he is not guilty of the crime of which he was charged. Others, there is a stronger case, and like I said, in some, the convicted comrades have even admitted guilt. But that's not the case with Mumia.
But even with that, you're saying because of even with other people who have admitted guilt with killing cops, they've served their time and they're out.
I'm saying they're eligible for parole, and their parole gets denied because police unions or others who are tracking the case and want the Panthers to remain behind bars actively organize to keep them behind bars. Even remember Veronza Bowers, he was granted parole. He was literally packing up his cell when his parole was revoked. You remember when we heard about that during the Free Them All program?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we're dealing with in this case, Amari.
Okay. No, I mean I agree. I agree with him and Mumia, but at the same time, it's like some people maybe some people didn't know. They understand. So okay. All
right. So comments. We have a few to respond to. Anyone want to take a shot at reading those?
Yeah, I'd like to check this one by Michael. The law is on one side when one gets stopped, so why brothers choose to run? Where's this mentality coming from to run, though one can't run faster than a bullet? I have several issues with this comment because the law is not on one side as an African-American male when you get stopped, because if it was, you wouldn't be eligible for summary execution in the street for being defiant. That's one. Running from the police is a constitutionally protected activity. The Supreme Court, I forget which justice said it, that it is perfectly acceptable for Black males to quit the vicinity with all deliberate speed when the police come on the block. That's a quote from a Supreme Court justice. I'm sorry I didn't have time to figure out which one, but quit the vicinity with all deliberate speed. Now, no, you can't run faster than a bullet. But had that been a 28-year-old white woman, she would have got away, bro. They would have found her later. Just like with Sean Bell, when they fired all those shots into Sean Bell's car on his wedding night, the night before his wedding, had that been 3 white girls in the car, he would have stepped aside and written down the license plate. So no, as an African-American male, the law is not on your side. The law is 100% against you when you get stopped. You are not free. Red, white, and blue always stand for freedom until they're flashing behind you. You are no longer free. You are no longer a citizen, and you no longer have any rights. I don't care what you say, Michael. I don't know how many police have pulled you over, but when I get pulled over, I am nothing but nice, nothing but cool, nothing but calm and collected. Okay? And a lot of times police ain't nothing but belligerent and nasty and hateful and spit venom to try to provoke a brother. You telling me they treat you like that? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm shocked at the way laws on one side, that's completely that's a farce, and that's not even close to being true. Especially when these laws are designed to the whole system in many ways are designed to lock us up. And so, yeah, I mean, you talk about you serve and protect, and again, yeah, we trying to say that, oh, if you call the police, they're not going to come and help in particular times of need. I mean, that may be the case in some cases, but when you're talking about getting pulled over as a black man in this country, right then and there, you may not make it home that night. So it's just that type of feeling you get if I move wrong, if I reach wrong. So the law is not on my side, because the law could be, I could be some arrested on trumped up charges. I mean, we have situations where officers have planted drugs on black men and have had prison sentences, lengthy prison sentences based on drugs that were planted on them. There were situations where the situation gets escalated just for the simple fact that cops are assholes at times. I mean, they come in with the type of demeanor of trying to provoke you to get to the point that they're going to arrest you. So a lot of times you see brothers run because they're fearful. They don't want to die. They have a life. Why should I feel like I'm going to die when this person's supposed to protect and serve me? As a tax-paying citizen that pays this man's salary, his or her salary, why in the world should I feel like I'm going to die based on the fact of me getting pulled over for having a tail light being busted or a headlight out? Or the reason why he got pulled over, I think, was something wrong with his plates. He died because of his plates. And what difference does it make if one person gets away? As you said, Tim, they could be found later. They have facial recognition. They have ways to track down based on your cell phone, pinging your cell phone. If they want to get you, they're going to get you. I don't care where you are.
That's also what one of the experts said. One of the experts said that right there. Like, did he have to do it? One of the experts said in one of the news articles said that even though he went after him, but did he need to? Because keep in mind, there was the friend still in the car, right? And they had the vehicle.
Right.
So that means so sometimes you got to weigh your options. Do I have to? Because I have a vehicle and I have a friend. So I can let him do what he needs to do, and I could just put pressure on the friend and take the vehicle. But because of ego, right, and training, a lack of training, people rely on that. I'm gonna rely on my ego. I'm gonna rely on lack of training and let that run amok. And that's what we're having. And so that's what we're having. That's what we're seeing. So that and that's what we're seeing right now in the streets. So that goes into what's the guy name or the person you're responding to, Tim?
Michael.
Michael. That's what we have right there, Mike. We don't have the law. We just have lack of training and ego. And who wants to trust that?
Training versus nurturing. I don't know. I think that when you're dealing with somebody who virtually, I mean, you're talking about six months of training, maybe, and they are judge, jury, and executioner in the street. 6 months of training and maybe an associate's degree, maybe 60 credits, sometimes a high school diploma, sometimes a GED with a badge and a gun, making pronunciations over the rest of people's lives. Been on the job 14 years with your high school diploma, you're a detective now. You know what I mean? I can't understand why we have so many half-wits making decisions on people's lives, and how is it that they have so little training and so little education and so little qualification to do what it is they're even doing, yet they're out there doing it and they're branded hero just because they raised their hand and volunteered to do it. We made mention of, I was thinking about sports teams, and I thought to myself, if you have on the jersey of the opposing team and we're playing football and it's my job to knock you senseless, I'm going to do that. And, when I see those uniforms, I see the opposing team. I see a team that is opposed to my functioning, opposed to my liberty, opposed to my happiness. And I see it as my job to be in opposition to that team. Let me put it eloquently instead of say what I really think.
So Amber says that I currently live in Grand Rapids and nothing has changed. It's still highly segregated. Most of the police forces from outer lying areas like Rockford and Byron Center, and y'all can talk about that, tends to be very white.
That's 100% true. That's 100% true. That's 100% true. In the community, in the Black community, you very rarely, in Grand Rapids, you very rarely see a brother as a police officer. As a matter of fact, long time ago, I took the test to become a police officer in Grand Rapids because I was in that vein. I had just come out of the military. You know, when you come out of the military, fresh out of the military, you get pigeonholed into these types of careers. So I took that test with a white guy who had GED, who had never been in the military, who had a dubious criminal background. And myself and another brother took the test with him. We had military experience, had education, and he's the one they called. So, yeah, policing in Grand Rapids is incredibly conservative.
Very.
Just, you know, to use the dog whistle, you know what I mean? It's incredibly conservative. And they do come from outside the community. And they are a belligerent force within the community. Belligerent. They don't treat us like they treat people in other communities. They just don't. And I know that's hard for people like Mike to believe that if you're just calm and cool and collected, I mean, you do everything that they say, that you will be all right. That's not necessarily the case. Plus, they spit venom all over you, treat you like a criminal from Jump Street, walk up to you with their hand on their gun, you know?
Yeah.
So, no, I don't. I just think the man is wrong. I just think the man is wrong. What do you say?
I think even to add to that too, Tim, I mean, when we were prepping for tonight, I thought we came across an article that outlined some of the recent history of mispolicing, if you will, in Grand Rapids. There have been lawsuits. There have been instances of false arrest, of harassment for years. And a recent study done within the last 5 years showed that Black motorists in Grand Rapids were twice as likely to be pulled over than white motorists. And so that is a trend that you can see anywhere in the country. There have been national studies that say the same thing. There is a fundamental mistrust between people of color in America and the police, and for damn good reason. And so I don't think it's within anybody's power to judge another person who feels like they need to run from the police if they get pulled over at all. Like I had an argument years ago with a friend of mine who he carries a weapon everywhere he goes. Like, dude, why do you carry a weapon, man? Like, don't you know you're more likely to get shot if you have a gun? Don't you know the statistics about that? He said, I'm a Black man in Chicago. Anybody could come for me, including the police. So when you talk about the law is on your side when you get pulled over, no, it isn't. It's just you and another person. It's you and a man or woman. The law is not there. It's you and that person's interpretation of you, and it's you and their hidden agenda. Right now, you have a gun, they have a gun, that's different. But even then, we've seen Black men killed who have the right to carry a weapon in conceal and carry states who've stated publicly, I've got a weapon in my car, officer. And then they're shot for having a weapon. So where is it that the law is
right.
Black man in America?
Right.
You comply, you get choked out and killed. You have a gun in your glove box, you tell the officer you get killed for having a gun in your glove box. So what is it? Are Black men supposed to walk around disarmed and comply and risk being choked out, shot, stabbed, or killed? Or like it is an untenable situation. There's no amount of training that's going to fix this problem in America, because the fundamental spirit, the initiation of police in this country is racist to its core. It is classist to its core, and it must be torn asunder. Let's see. Eric Basir. Apologies, Eric, if I mispronounced. You must take control of our own communities, schools, and workplaces. Lawsuits and voting are essentially useless exercises when it compares to organizing for collective action. Right on, Eric.
Yeah.
You're talking our language, man. Each and every thing is on the table when it comes to social change and transformation. Amara and I say all the time, everything has a role in the revolution. Every person has a role in the revolution. Whether you want to speak up, be on the front lines, get downtown in the rally with your boots on the ground, whether you want to be in a forum like this with us talking about it, trying to reach minds and change minds, whether you want to draw for the revolution, teach for the revolution, but play a part in the revolution. Don't sit it out. So we're with you. We're with you, Eric. Right on there, good brother. Any other comments you guys want to highlight?
I don't know. Mike came back with a couple more comments, I guess, defending himself, but I don't know if you want to get into that or not.
Oh, okay.
No.
Hey, listen, Mike. I mean, from my point of view, I think, to me, there's no way that you can play the police wrong. If you want to try to comply and you want to take your chances complying, that's fine. But if you feel insecure and like you need to get out of that situation and run, damn it, that's fine too. The police have not earned the trust of any person in this country, especially black men and women in this country, to demand compliance.
The thing is that we die with complying also.
Right.
Yeah, and Mike came back with some bangers, swinging for the fences, talking about letting the law decide your fate, like MLK did, and Nkrumah and Mandela. Have you really looked at these people's lives and how just they were in the face of law enforcement, how justly law enforcement actually treated them? Are you really typing, Mike? You really thinking about that? Come on, man.
Keep in mind, right, yeah. Do you know what the FBI?
FBI,
Do you know what the FBI did with King? The threats they made towards him.
I mean, he was assassinated for being the most peace-loving man in the world. So, I mean, you're proving the point there, Mike. Mandela spent 30 years in prison for organizing against apartheid. Non-violently, and they called him a terrorist.
Let law decide, right? Sitting in jail for 30 years.
Right. And so here's the thing. We see apartheid as so different than what we're experiencing and what we go through in this country and the regime that we're living under now. Our regime is actively propping up apartheid in Israel. And arguably, the conditions in this country fit apartheid. So what we need to stop doing is thinking that our country is so different than Israel or South Africa up until 1991 or 2. It isn't. Anyway,
take a chance. Let's move on.
All right.
Wow.
Let's move on. Prom-posal. All right.
Now, before we get into this, y'all, do any of y'all remember how y'all proposed to prom? Do y'all remember any of those things? Did y'all go? Because it's prom time now.
Prom-posal.
Did y'all go?
I remember.
You go to Grant?
I went.
Did you go to prom, Grant?
Yeah, I went.
You go, Ike?
No, I
didn't.
You didn't
go? None
Nope.
of those 4 years you didn't go.
I did not.
I didn't go to prom, homecoming, none of it.
No way.
Solidarity.
No way.
Me either.
Oh my God.
Oh man. Come on now.
Solidarity.
Oh my God.
I didn't go to none of that.
Grant, we're talking to some losers over here, Grant. Losers.
Right, man. What's going on here?
Oh my goodness. Oh gosh. What are we doing, Grant? It's time to go, Grant. Let's get off.
I don't know if we can talk about this time. We had to stay silent.
So we understand. We understand this, how wrong this is. Or maybe this is something they would have done. Maybe they would have done this, Grant. Let's go into this.
Okay.
Let's go into this. Let's see.
A racist promposal from a student at Central High School in Kane County, Illinois is going viral. What should happen next?
You got a picture of it?
Yeah. I'll put it up now.
Man,
Let's look at it.
Oh, man.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Oh my goodness.
A whack looking sign. Look at it.
Right. That's pretty bad.
Can you read it?
Oh, I didn't even peep the cotton balls he put on there.
Ah, that's like he made it last night. Like he didn't put no real thought into it. I mean, he put thought into it, but like he didn't put no time into it. He don't like her that much.
Well, you know, it doesn't take incredible cognitive brain function to be a racist. You know, he probably did the absolute best he could. That's probably stellar for him.
Okay, so I agree. So if people can't read, it says what does it say? I can't really see it too much myself. It says I can't read it.
If I was black, I'd be picking cotton, but I'm white, so I'm picking you.
Yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous, man. Like that.
Yeah.
Like what? Like how did he? I mean, that's the best he can do. And
Wait. So when I first thought about this, I thought maybe he was even asking a black girl to prom, but he was actually even asking he wouldn't. So he wasn't even asking the black girl to prom. He was asking the white girl to prom.
You think would it be better or worse if the girl was black?
I don't even know. But at least I thought maybe it could
Man,
relate
that'd
to
be
me.
worse, man. If she was black.
I don't think it could get much worse. I don't think it could get much worse.
So he didn't even so you're right, but since it's not even no black people in this, he ain't gotta bring color into this at all.
At all.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was trying to go viral. I don't know if this dude try to do this on purpose.
I thought that maybe when I heard it, I thought maybe it was a black girl. So I said, okay, maybe he's trying to be, but he didn't have to bring it in at all.
Yeah, that's that sickness though. That's all that delusion and all that sickness that I was alluding to earlier with the whole white supremacy and racism. It makes all manner of wrong okay. Like they snickered about this and thought this was a good idea and thought this would be funny. And damn what anybody thought. Damn the history and the racism and the brutality and the murders and the rapes and all that. They thought it would be funny. So, you know, that's that delusion that comes with the racist white supremacist attitude that makes all manner of vile, disgusting things just okay. You know, it's about black people. You know, so it's not a big deal. I bring it back to the volleyball team. I think it was in Oklahoma. They were on video laughing at the lynching photo. You know,
Yeah, here it is.
That whole white supremacy thing, it clouds the judgment, clouds the mind. I think it mirrors mental illness. Honestly, I think it does. I think it mirrors a mental illness because having worked in psychiatric emergency rooms and things like that, not as an expert, not as a nurse, not as a doctor, but having been there as a mental health technician, I've heard people make statements like, you know, with schizophrenia, snails have pails and I'm green, you know, and it makes perfect sense to them. Well, you know, that sign makes perfect sense to them, you know, it's okay. And that to me is like a cognitive disconnect, you know, like how could you stand there and hold that sign so proudly with that big old grin on your face like that's okay?
Yeah, this school has
nobody said nothing.
No, they yeah. I mean, it has since been addressed by the superintendent, but that school has a history of racism, according to what I've read. I mean, the school's 2% black, 62% white, 19% Hispanic, 30% Asian. So it's definitely a highly predominantly white school. And this kind of stuff's probably been going on, jokes and things been going on for decades at that school. Mm-hmm. And so he thought, I was get away with it. Nothing happened before. This is not the first time. I can't believe that this is the first time someone's made some type of inappropriate sign or gesture or jokes or something that probably just didn't go viral. But I think because he posted it it went viral, and that's why it became a problem. But this school has an issue already, and of course, superintendent comes around and says this is not the representation of our school at all. Of course it is.
It is.
Of course it is.
Right there in full color. Right there in full color. Yeah.
I think this is going to get into another one of our topics a little later on, but I think what's interesting here is that I'm going to make an assumption. I could be wrong, but communities like this one are precisely the same communities that want to outlaw any discussion of racism in America. And my guess is at this high school, they don't have a very progressive history curriculum. They don't have a very progressive position when it comes to celebration, recognition, and affirmation of culture outside of white culture. So I think when we see stuff like that, or the other thing with the cheerleaders laughing at the tree where a boy was lynched back in the 1930s, when we see stuff like that, it is the result of an absence of a true understanding and a true exploration of this country's history and its racial dynamics. And so when I hear other white people advocating against critical race theory, first off, they don't understand what critical race theory is to begin with. What they're really saying is that we don't want to talk about racism in this country. And this is the result of what happens when we don't honestly explore the history of race and racial oppression in this country. We have idiots like who is it? Patrick Hawley, who made the Wakanda comment about this is about at the Country Music Awards when black celebrities showed up. This is not Wakanda. Mm-hmm. Right. So I mean, you get idiots like him who don't know any better. He thinks that it's okay to make a joke like that. Right. So I think what should happen next is that in the case of these children, somebody needs to counsel them and coach them through this to help them understand the true offensiveness of what they did. And I think as a rule for white people, let's agree that we won't make jokes about people of other races or skin colors. We won't make any cultural references. I mean, let's sit that out. We can find other ways to be funny. But let's understand that when we try when we poke fun at people of other races, skin colors, or orientations that are different from our own, it's just not a good look. We don't know how to do it. We're not in a place in our society yet where we can laugh things like this off in a healthy way. We are in a place, hopefully, where we can counsel these kids through their mistake. They can learn from it and we can all move on. I don't think that these kids I don't think their lives should be ruined as a result of what they did. I think they should learn from it and they should grow from it and become more culturally competent. That's my hope in what happens next.
This is not a shameful plug for the company, is it?
Oh, I mean, now that you mentioned it, listen, we at 360 Collective, we're glad to counsel, coach any and everybody who may need support with racial sensitivity, with being more inclusive, with facilitating conversations about race and skin color. If you would like support of that nature, we're here and we're ready to support. That's a great call there, Mark. That's a great call. All of our work flows through what we call the aspects of revolutionary culture. Definitely give us a call. Go to our website if you would like more support or just a free consultation. Amari would be glad to talk you through that. He would be glad to propose a plan of action for you.
No doubt.
How about that? How was that, Tim? How was that, man?
That was phenomenal, man. That was phenomenal. That was a great segue. That was very artistically done. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm proud to be a part of it. That's fantastic.
All right.
I'm down to teach.
You rehearse, man. Y'all rehearse this
curriculum.
We just said they rehearse it.
I said I sounded a little rehearsed, man.
Yeah, that was nice.
That
was a great call, Amari. I promise you that wasn't rehearsed.
Yeah.
No,
right,
but I don't know if it's somebody calling me or whatever, but let me tell you what it is. That what happened was exactly what you're discussing was that's the work that's being that is done. I used to do that work right there. I would go into some similar schools. Matter of fact, in Grand Rapids, and we will hold those discussions, right? And so you're right. That's it. Those communities will hold those discussions because
Yeah.
limited levels of diversity, similar things will happen, and they would be totally, I don't say totally clueless, but they would need to have a little bit more. They would need people in there to hold those conversations. So yeah, I think they could come in and have with school districts and stuff like that to hold those conversations with them. I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my
Yeah.
daughter calling me. That's what was going on. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, you guys.
The Florida State Department of Education rejected 54 out of 132 math textbooks proposed for next school year. Of those, 28 were dismissed because they apparently promote critical race theory. Is this an example of states' rights or states' ignorance?
States' ignorance, states' complete and total ignorance, states' attempt to completely whitewash history and take out anything in history that might make certain people like Ron DeSantis and his children and grandchildren feel uncomfortable. I don't think that banning books has ever been a way to achieve social progress in a society. Let's just eliminate this entire knowledge base right here and replace it with the same old corporate line that we've been pushing for 100 years, 150 years, 200 years. This man is so full of double talk that it frightens me. He's talking about he wants character to be the defining factor in education instead of race. And he doesn't want people to feel bad when they're being educated in the state of Florida about what has happened in the past. But I think a very large percentage of American education is designed to make people of color, Black and brown people in particular, feel really bad about themselves. Because we all know where it starts, especially in Grand Rapids and Kentwood Public Schools, most public schools, it starts with slavery, and how are you supposed to feel good about yourself learning that all this horrible stuff about yourself from a perspective that's already skewed against you? I don't know what y'all experience was, but I was the only Black kid in the class from for a great percentage of my primary education. And to learn about that stuff in a situation like that makes your skin crawl. And there's nothing that you can absolutely do about it. But for Ron DeSantis and his cohorts to say, we are not going to study this, we're not going to talk about it, we're going to ban any books that make mention of it, that is intellectual violence. That is an assault on intellectual progress. That is an assault and an arrest upon human evolution. And I think that Ron DeSantis is a dinosaur, and he needs to be dealt with in some other way. He definitely doesn't need to be elected to a higher office. I think we should really try to make inroads into a way that we can stop this man from getting elected and becoming president, because there's his constituency right there. That's who he's protecting. That's who he's promoting. That's who he is trying to bolster in this world and in this society. Not us. People like us are not on his agenda. So, let's make no bones about it. Ron DeSantis.
Well, these 52 books that he said was had a strong foundation in critical race theory. They're math books. So sometimes people say certain things, and some things that they're hard to prove. Like sometimes it's like you got to prove that. You got to prove it, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's math. So you got for how this math book has the foundation of this in it. So and it's a math book. So typically a math book is just going to be 1 + 1 is 2. So then so that's not there. So when they were asking them, like what's the foundation of this? And first they were like, we don't got to show you anything. We don't got to prove this to you at all. And then also was saying, well, it's not there. It's not there. But if to get headlines, so keep in mind you were saying before, Tim, we all know what his goal is. We all know what where he wants to be headed. He's trying to get headlines. And so what did this do? It got him headlines for a few days. And so if this is a dog whistle, it got him big headlines. They probably was not, as a school district or whatever, a state, they have to reject books anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
I probably got to reject books when he was a principal. Had to reject books to say I'm gonna let these books come in anyway. You got to reject books anyway, right? So what if I just say I'm gonna reject these books, but I'm gonna reject them based on this, and that's gonna give me those headlines. He could have rejected the books because maybe they were outdated. I'm gonna reject these books just because maybe we don't have the funding for it. But if I'm gonna say I'm gonna reject these books based on this is the headlines. And he did those. I mean, I think he just did it because he knew that was gonna give him attention. And that attention was going to also say, listen, I'm doing it for not only for the state, not only because of for the state of Florida, but also I'm doing it for the whole nation. The man has an agenda I think, like I said, the man has an agenda to become president, and it got him the attention over for the whole nation. And he's doing it just same way that Trump did it 4+ years ago.
This nation is between, it depends on who you ask, but statistically between 60 and 72% so-called white, and there's a large percentage of that that's on the conservative side. Even some of those who are closer to the middle lean a little bit more conservatively a lot of the time. So he definitely has a tremendous market share right now. And his constituency is really, really growing. And before Trump, you couldn't win like that. I remember watching Mitt Romney's rallies against Obama, Snow White in every aspect. And I was like, he can't win like that. And he didn't, And
it was all right that it was that way, but it's different between like being Snow White and then being Snow White and dumb, right?
And
Snow White and not being truly informed, right? And so, and this is what we're dealing with now with people just being thrown ideas, or like I guess like you just said, just being racist on some things, and just being out there with that, just throwing that right there out front, and letting that be what it is. So, yeah.
Before Trump couldn't win like that. Trump made it possible to win like that again. I don't know how. I mean, he really didn't win. Let's make that clear. He won the Electoral College. He really didn't win. The Electoral College is a system that puts a loser in the White House every time, both literally and figuratively. So he made it okay to win like that. He made it okay to win like that, and now it's happening together on these conservative platforms that are really just white supremacist, racist ideology spun in political form, and it's hard to imagine. There's a lot of black conservatives. I know one of my best friends, oldest brother, is a staunch Trump supporter. Brother ran in the Olympics, played pro football, is a high school assistant principal down here now. Staunch Trump supporter. And I have a nephew also, straight up Trump supporter, voted Trump. Everything else down the line, Trump, and it wigs me out.
No, I guess I got a question for you guys. Is it all right that they're the Republican, or are we saying that we do have an issue? We have an issue with them voting for Trump, or maybe I should frame it differently. Is it conservative, or is it the ideologies of Trump?
I think it's the ideologies of Trump. I think the ideologies of Trump have fit into conservative platforms and have been adopted by conservative platforms. You have those who argue that Trump's not racist. He's never said anything racist. He's never done anything racist. But his real estate company, him and his dad, was sued for discrimination, by not letting black people into their buildings. And it's like, I think it's the Trump ideology has taken over that conservative segment, and now it's something vastly different than it was. But not really. But not really.
You said not really.
Yeah. No, because if you go back, like I said, go back to the Mitt Romney rallies and the John McCain rallies, and go back to that footage and look who was there, and what was going on and what was happening, But we had moved to a different type of society at that point, and that was, the culmination of like a lot of different things, involving civil rights and African American people and black and brown people in this country. What we're experiencing now is historical in and of itself, because the backlash, this always happens with any amount of progress that people have come in this country. This is a historic backlash. People come raging back, and like, no, we're not going to have this. We got to put these people back in their place, So it happens. Just got to hold on. You want to go to the comments, discuss a couple of these comments?
Yeah. Well, let's check out some of the recent comments. You guys see any that you want to call out or respond to?
Yeah, I have one. If you are not uncomfortable / disgusted in learning history, you aren't learning history. We should be growing and doing better. Right on. I appreciate that. I really, honestly, and truthfully do, because I was never comfortable learning about African American history from the perspective of the oppressor. It always made me feel bad. I learned a lot, and I think they learned a lot too. But for them not to want to feel that same discomfort down there in Florida is cowardly.
Yeah, believe.
Go ahead, Grant. Go ahead, Grant.
I just want to make one comment about DeSantis. I think he's going to make a run for president. So I think his ideology is going to become nationwide. Unfortunately, I think he's the new Trump. That's the side note.
Yeah, he's Trump light.
Trump light.
Yeah.
Trump light.
He's more polished. He's more polished than Trump, but believes in exactly the same things that Trump does.
Maybe even worse. Maybe one of these ghost skins. Maybe one of these ghost skins, like that article I read about them. They actually try to hide their more fanatical beliefs and just put up that front that I'm every man. I think he's probably worse than we know. Tip of the iceberg, so to speak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree. That's a great comment that Danica made. I agree, and I think speaking for myself, when I truly began examining history as a white person, I felt all kinds of mad, ashamed, guilty, all of the above. So when DeSantis talks about, well, I don't want kids to feel that way or no one should feel that way. No, yes, you should. You should, and you fight through it. And if you have a good teacher, they will help you process those feelings. They will help you process the feelings that you have as a white person reading about what your ancestors did to people of color in this country. But then there's also another side. There's another side of history that I think we tend to overlook, which is that at every step where injustice in this country has existed, there have been people who fought for justice, who have fought for a more just and humane way of living. And to me, that's the history that's even more dangerous, that DeSantis and other opponents of critical race theory don't want to explore. Because if you start to explore Bacon's rebellion and things like that, you start to figure out how people of different races work together, or people of certain classes work together across racial lines, and how they start to figure out who the real oppressor was. That's when you start talking about true dramatic change. And so there's history in this country of freedom fighters. At every moment when you see it, when you experience darkness, there's a moment of light. there's a ray of sunshine that can be explored, can be investigated. At no point in our history was there ever an act of oppression done when there wasn't also an act of liberation, an act of revolution, an act of justice in response to that. And so to me, that's the history that's even more dangerous. It's like the Black Panther Party talked about socialism, right? And they talked about black liberation and they held guns and all that. But the thing that the federal government and the FBI found most threatening was the breakfast program. So it isn't only that white people don't want to learn, my people don't want to learn about how terrible we've been through our history. It's that there's another history here of social justice and solidarity that if we learn that history, there'd be a revolution by the end of the week.
Y'all want to read what Mike said? Mike came back with another comment. I think we need to address that.
Go ahead, G. Go for it.
CRT is the manifestation of how we of African descent have gotten ourselves academically emancipated. Ignore them and keep our eyes on the ball. They will be left behind with time. It's just hold on, man. We might have Mike come on the show, man. Mike, we might have to drop a link with Mike, man.
I'm rocking with Mike. I'm rocking with Mike, man. I'm rocking with this. I'm rocking with our guy.
Yeah, I'm rocking with that.
I'm not saying I agree. I'm not saying I agree, but I appreciate how active he's being, and I appreciate his comments.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, he's trying to be very peaceful and very liberal and kind, and I get that. But at the same time, I'm like, man, are you really for real on these comments? Or are you a troll? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I just read that.
What do you think he means by that, G?
Mike,
say some more. What do you think he means? And Mike clarifies: CRT is the manifestation of how people of African descent got ourselves academically emancipated. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Are you saying that history? That's what opponents of CRT are trying to avoid teaching? Are you saying that CRT should be banned? I'm trying to figure out how he means that, or do you guys know how he means that?
I don't know how he means it. I would like. Oh, there he is. I would like to say just we can't ignore them. Anything that you ignore, festering sore like racism and white supremacy, that's a festering, blistering pustule that has to be cared for. That thing's got to be looked after. So we can't ignore it. What do you say?
But at the same time, we can't continue to go with a wrong definition as the right definition, right? Because what it is that we're defining, we're walking with CRT with one definition, and that's not the true definition of what CRT is. So that's what we're talking about is eliminating in school the wrong white people have done to black people. That's not what CRT is. So let's just say that. So what they're talking about is slavery and whatever, all that stuff didn't happen, and so we're not. So this is that's what they want to. That's what they want to teach. Okay, so are we going to do we want to walk with that? Do we win? Is that the W? And we're saying is the truth of this truth. Let's just walk with the truth. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, let's just say what the truth is. No matter who's hurt or who's celebrated by it, let the truth stand for what it is. And as you stated, Ike, who's teaching it, and whether it be a good teacher, knows how to balance what that is, and let everything be a teachable moment. As in, somebody doesn't have to walk away beating their chest, and somebody doesn't have to walk away feeling bad. But we all can walk away knowing how to become better out of it, right? But that's what teachers do. What white supremacy has done is what it's doing now, making somebody feel bad and making somebody feel better. And so what white supremacists have done to make white people continuously feel better in their wrongs. So, but I think that we can. I think right now we're saying that let's continue to make it. Let's teach the truth, and
Yeah.
that the chips fall what they may.
And so and I want to try to put something you just said with something you said earlier, Tim. Whiteness is a disease. Let's be clear about that. Whiteness is a disease. I'm not saying that white people ought to go out and kill themselves. I'm not saying that white people like me need to go get a vaccine. I'm saying that whiteness is a mental illness. Mental illness. And here's what I mean. It doesn't make any sense because the same folks out in Kane County who want nothing to do with critical race theory, by which they mean they want no discussion of racism or racial oppression in their schools, are the same ones who won't say anything to the kids who wrote the cotton picking sign. If you don't want any racism at all, you don't want any mention, any discussion of it at all in your school, you don't want your kids exposed to it whatsoever, no investigation of the racist history of this country, well, the history of this country, which is racist, then you should be outraged that your kids laughed at or made light of the fact that there's a tree in your community that once was responsible for the hanging of a young black boy. You should be incensed that your child made light of the institution of slavery as part of a prom joke. But you won't. My people won't be. They see the two things as completely separate. They'll say, oh, it's just a joke. Why are we getting so bent out of shape about it? The reason why you're saying that is because your whiteness is taking hold of you. You're mentally ill. You don't know what you're saying. Your logic doesn't make any sense because whiteness has no logic. It's meant to be, it's a dance partner that's meant to trip you up. Whiteness has two left feet. We need to get out of this state of mind. So I guess that's how I respond. And so I see Mike in the comments. I think I understand more what he's saying now about CRT and everything. I understand better what you're saying there, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see Heather says I'm working on getting a better understanding of CRT, how it's used and what it is, so I can advocate better. Right on, Heather. We've been talking, Tim, about having a discussion about critical race theory. I know, Amari, I think you had mentioned it as well. Maybe we need to go ahead and do that sometime soon. It seems like it's a topic that is worthy of more discussion specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other comments you guys want to call out?
I think we're clear to go to hit this last topic.
Oh yeah, okay. All right, then let's do it. Let's do it.
Elon Musk, the richest man in the world with a net worth of $251 billion, says he does not own a home, preferring to live with friends. Would you let Elon Musk sleep on your couch?
Yeah. And I'd be trying to get $100,000 out of him every day. Like, yo, Elon, I got this thing I'm trying to do over here. And, I don't know. Why else would you let him sleep in your house? You trying to get $100,000, trying to get $200,000 a night. Every Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Richest man in the world, y'all.
I guess it depends on if I thought he had some wisdom that I would need. Because outside of that, then, I guess why would I want somebody to invade my personal space? Outside of that, it'll be a no. But there was some wisdom that I think that he could, give me based on what he's doing.
Wisdom, man, come on. What kind of answer is this?
I'm actually
Wisdom?
That's it, right?
Wisdom
on what? How to inherit wealth from your South African benefactors?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, man? You better hit a lick on this dude, man, and try and come up on some billions.
I'm telling you, pitching all day, every day. I'll pitch a new idea every hour.
But I'm saying the thing is that, do you think he's going to give it though? You know what I'm saying? So then you got to think, is he going to give it?
Is he going to give it?
Because he's being pitched all the time. So then you got to come with another. You got to come with another angle, right?
I got an idea for a black cowboy vampire film that I think would be on point. You know what I mean? I think.
All right, he might be watching. Let's go for it.
Right.
Up Elon's alley. As soon as I get done explaining it to him, you know, I think I think I can convince him. But you can't convince him if he ain't around. Captive audience, you in the guest room, bro. Let's chat. Let's have some dinner. You know, let's have this bottle of wine right quick, and let's discuss this like men.
So I say maybe. Tim is definitely like a yeah. What you got, G?
Come on through.
G, what you got?
Man, listen, man. Elon is from South Africa. We all know about what's happening in South Africa. What's still going on in South Africa. What in the hell has he done for his home country in terms of when it comes to the apartheid issue that was, of course, you know, no longer legal apartheid, but the apartheid is still there. It's definitely has its have and have nots. Now, I'm not getting all serious with it, but I mean, I'm just saying, for him to come in, I have to question him. Like, man, you know, you're worth $200 billion. Can you throw $1 billion back to the hood, man? I mean, to the I forget they call the ghettos. They want to, if it was to name one. Like, what have you get something back? If you said he would, then I'll let him in. If you said no, I'm not giving him $1, then he got to go. Simple as that.
So are you saying, G? Are you saying he's coming to your house because he has nowhere else to go, and you're like, you wouldn't even let him in if he had nowhere to go?
I mean, if he had nowhere to go, I mean, why would he come knocking on my door? But you
never know. You never know. Maybe he ain't got nowhere to go.
I'll never throw a man on the street. So I mean, out of the compassion, but I definitely have to you know what I'm saying, I have to question him. I have to probably just, he can come in, but we didn't have a discussion. I wouldn't be trying to get no game on how I could be rich. I would literally ask him that question. $200 billion, you can't do. I mean, you got people like Akon that didn't have anything close and has given back to Africa tremendously. Why in the world? You know the problems in South Africa. I mean, unless you in some place like Durban, where there are a lot of wealthy African Americans who actually have moved there and are thriving. But right on the other side of Durban, you have I wish I knew the name, what they call it, the hood or whatever, but they have a name for it. And I'm just like, man, you can't do anything. I mean, so that'll be my approach to it. I'll probably be too serious with it. I know it's supposed to be a light comment, but end of the day, I guess I will let him in, but trust and believe we'll be up debating all night. He won't get no sleep. He won't be able to sleep, so he can come on the couch if he want to.
Well, I don't know. I would really, 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 really make an attempt to get that come up somehow, some way. I mean, he got $250 billion. Listen, I'll give it to him. Just give it to me. I will distribute that for you. Something, something. I got to get something out of Elon if he's in my house. I got to get something out of him. That's the richest man on earth.
Hey, look. You guys know this movie?
Yeah.
Drop Squad.
That's what will be going down at the Castellan's residence if Elon Musk ever makes his way over here. We're locking ourselves in, and I'm calling all of you guys. We're gonna work on Elon.
We're gonna work on Elon
as long as it takes. If you haven't seen this movie, check this movie out. This is what we would do to Elon. He would come out conscious. Hey Tim, you know the movie, right? Tim knows the movie.
Yeah, I saw that movie a long time ago, man. Drop Squad. Yeah, that's a classic, cult classic. Yeah.
Yeah. Cult classic. Exactly.
Damn.
All right. Well, I guess we're at the end. So just as we close out, excited for next week, the state of hip hop in 2022. We will be on next Wednesday, same time. We'll have special guests Nick Speed and Rose Spit out of Detroit. Not only will they be doing the knowledge with us on this important topic, but they will also be sharing with us their new album and talking about everything that went into their new album, which is dropping, I believe, tomorrow. So definitely check it out. They'll be here to promote it, talk about the album, and we will all be talking about the state of hip hop in 2022. Hip hop is near and dear to our hearts at 360. It's something that has influenced us all in one way or another, or to some extent or another. And so we will all be weighing in on the state of hip hop in 2022. And then one more plug. As was mentioned earlier, we do have a consulting group here at 360, and we specialize specifically in education and school improvement and revitalization and reimagination. But we also work with organizations as well. And so whatever your need may be, if you are starting an organization and want some counsel, whether you are in an organization and you want some guidance, some support, or some training, or you run a business and you're not getting the results that you want, or the culture in your company is not what you desire for it to be, we would love to talk to you more and perhaps give you support, either through coaching, problem solving, professional development, or guest speaking. We specialize in all of that. Definitely check us out at our website, 360 Collective online. With that, good brothers, I think that's just about it. Is there anything that you guys have for the good of the group?
I would just like to thank Mike. I'm sorry. I would just like to thank Michael again for being so active in the comment section and being such a great participant. Really appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
All right,
I agree
right
with
on.
that because sometimes when you guys are active like that, it makes us to go back and study some more and read some more to make sure that we are on top of our game. So I do appreciate when that happens also.
Come
I
back,
would
Mike.
also like to say we will be in Detroit next Thursday, right? Why are we going to Why are we going to Detroit next Thursday, G? You know why?
Man, we will actually be coming to y'all live. All three of us in the same room. Never done before. Well, we never done that before, actually. So I don't know what I'm kind of nervous, man. I don't know, man.
I don't think we're gonna be on live, but we will be together as friends to support another friend. He got a film that we're going to go see. All four of us, right? We all gonna be together Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
100%. We might go on live. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
We'll see what
man.
happens.
We might flash off for him.
Oh, okay. We
all
can
you
do
gotta
that.
have is, we can maybe do those Zoom and just
Let's do
have
it.
on the phone,
Yeah.
Just do a little live. Just we can't all be together and not come to y'all live, man. We
Okay,
never show
right,
this audience live, man. We gotta do
So
that.
so why are we coming together though?
We why everybody silent?
Right.
Man, we got a big project. We got a huge project. I don't know if you want to talk
the
about
film,
anything.
Ike film.
Yeah, we don't know if you want to get all that, but I guess on you if you want to, plug it up. If you want to get
Ike,
into
tell me what's your film, man. Don't be shy, man. Why are you trying to be shy? What's your film, Mike?
So there's a screening of a film called Let the Little Light Shine in Detroit, and it'll be premiering. Its Detroit premiere will be on Thursday the 28th. So we will all be getting together for that. In addition to that, we are also working on a major project concerning the life of Malcolm X. So we'll be doing some shooting, some interviewing there in the Detroit area to produce a documentary. More details coming about that very soon. But we will all be getting together to watch the film. It's premiering at the Detroit Free Press Festival. It's making its Michigan premiere there. So we'll be together for that. I'm looking forward to seeing my brothers in just about another week for that. Is that good? Does that satisfy you, Amari? Is that good?
I just want you to say that we're going to see this film that you're in next Thursday. That's all I want to hear.
Anybody from the Detroit area, man, meet us out there. We love to connect with our viewers.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
All right,
y'all.
All right.
All right. Real Powers people.
All right.
real
Y'all.
power.